Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel and editorial discussion for 23rd April 2022. In this video, we shall discuss an editorial from The Hindu which is titled Everything About This Refugee Deterrent Plan is Flawed. We will speak about the UK and Rwanda Economic Development Partnership. What are the issues related to this refugee plan? What are the advantages that UK looks at and various important facets of refugee crisis? If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and subscribes. Let's discuss. UK and Rwanda have recently pacted an economic development partnership between themselves, and this has been loudly criticized in the international fora. According to this plan, all the asylum seekers which come to UK's border, which come within the UK border, and if they have come inside UK through illegal means, for example, dungeons or getting into the ferries and not involving the authorities, and they come inside UK borders, they will be transported to Rwanda for their rehabilitation and resettlement. And in lieu of this, UK will also be funding this project for 5 years and providing 120 million pounds for training, integration, accommodation of all the refugees to Rwanda, right, for the coming 5 years. Now, people who will be targeted will be largely the single men who have arrived on boats, lorries, and this will also save a lot of people who arrive illegally through human trafficking channels. So this is what the plan has suggested. The plan is called as Economic Development Partnership between UK and Rwanda. There's a procedure for all this. As people arrive at the borders within Britain and they start to seek asylum, then UK will consider, the officials in UK will consider if these people have traveled through legitimate means or illegitimate means. If they traveled through dungeons, these kind of informal boats or inflatable boats, then they might not be considered. If their strength of asylum claim is not very strong. For example, if it is a family of 5 people coming from Libya and their life is being threatened, possibly this might be considered. But if another person is coming from Egypt and says that I have no food and please consider me as an immigrant here, possibly it might not be considered. This is all dependent on the officials of UK. And if considered, they will be provided asylum in the country. Otherwise, they will be given 5 days to leave, and they can also make a representation. If they do not make representations, they will have to leave. Otherwise, there is no provision for appealing. Now, in Europe, the immigration has not been new. In the last decade, there have been innumerable people who have been migrating to Europe, whether legally or illegally. It has happened as a side effect of Arab Spring, initiated in the last year of the first decade of 20th century. That means around 2010. And by 2015, a lot of people arrived in European countries as migrants, whether legal or illegal. More than even 1 million migrants arrived, and different European nations had different projections for migrants. For example, Germany largely pro towards accepting migrants, but UK not so happy about accepting migrants. All right, so people arriving from Sudan, Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, Iran, all those places which have been war stricken, civil war stricken. This is the way in which European economies have felt the pressure of immigrants. Right now, this is where we must know what is the difference between asylum seeker, refugee, and migrant. Let's understand. Interesting. This is interesting. Now, asylum seeker is any person who has left their country and is seeking protection from any persecution that is happening, any violence happening against them inside their own country. So human right violation or threat to life, anything that is happening inside their country, they are not okay with it, and they can seek asylum at any other country. This is a human right. That means any person cannot be withheld from seeking asylum in any other country. Now see, asylum seeker is not a person whose right has been given. Right to become a refugee will be accepted only when it has been recognized by the other country. So one example of asylum seekers are those people who are at the Belarus border and who are seeking protection in Poland. If you remember, this crisis happened just before the Russia and the Ukraine war. So European economies were alleging that people in Belarus have come all from North African countries, and now they are pressurizing the European economies. So these were asylum seekers not given protection in Europe. Now, this is something which is against the proper human right. On the other hand, refugees are those people whose right to be accepted as refugees has been accepted. So asylum seekers, one, the right to be accepted has been legally recognized, then they become refugees. So they have fled their own country because of risk of life, persecution, violence, human rights. Yes, good enough. But then refugees also have right to international protection. So human rights commission will look at it, refugees commission of United Nations will look at it, funds will be provided to these people and for settlement. So their government, the indigenous government, will is not able to protect them, and that is how these people have fled. See, these people also would have fled for the same reason, not necessarily, but possibly for the same reason. However, their right has not been accepted by the in taking country right now. And on the other hand, who is a migrant? Migrant is anybody who is moving from one place to another because of pull factors or push factors. See, the human rights violations, persecutions, or not being able to protect, these are push factors. People move because of poverty, political issues, gang violence, disasters, etc. Push factors. And they're pull factors. For example, they want to work, study, join family. Internal migration happens, external migration, intercountry migration happens. So if you see, a lot of population in USA is migrant. Afro-American people, Italian people, Asian people, Indian people, all of these are the migrants. But then there are certain categories of migrant people like refugees and asylum seekers. Okay. So if one is seeking asylum illegally, this is where UK says you should not be doing it. So whether this is inhumane or not, let's understand. A lot of critics have said that this is moral, immoral, this is illegal, and this is politically flaring up a lot of issues in UK. This kind of law, the Economic Development Partnership. So what are the issues? It says this is inhuman. United Nations, many refugees conventions, they've all raised questions that we are shifting. UK is shifting the asylum responsibilities from itself and providing it to another country. Right? There are international obligations to accept asylum seekers and give them proper rights and make them refugees. You're not doing this. This is contrary to the letter and spirit of Refugee Convention of United Nations. Right? People cannot be traded like commodities in exchange of money. Right? And this could cost a lot of money for each migrant. Right? 20,000 to 30,000 pounds. This is a huge amount. So moral obligations, legal obligations, political obligations, financial issues, all of them are the causes because of which people are raising their concerns. All right. Having said that, Rwanda is also not a country which has got very good human rights record. Rwanda, Burundi, if you remember, crisis happened between Hutsus and Tutsis people in the 20th century, 1995 around, and around lakhs and lakhs of people were massacred here. Not only that, there are a lot of migrants who are living, and Rwanda doesn't have human rights good record. So extrajudicial killings, suspicious death, unlawful activities, detention, torture, all that happens here, right? In fact, UK has itself red flagged Rwandan administration, saying Rwanda is not doing justice with its own citizens, and it has accepted Rwandan people as refugees. Imagine this. So just opposite to what it has done right now, it has been claiming in the past. On the other hand, UK government says no, it is not inhuman. Let us tell you how. See, the reason I am discussing this in details is because India is going through a similar human immigration crisis. People coming from Myanmar, people coming from Sri Lanka, people coming from Tibet, people coming from Afghanistan and Pakistan area. Is this not migration to India? Yes. Are people not in distress? Absolutely they are. Do they have right as refugees, or can they seek asylum in the country? We will be able to understand through this example. That's the reason I'm discussing this, so that you understand in depth. Now, UK says that there are a lot of people who are legally wanting to seek asylum in the country and become refugees here, and there's a huge list of it. Why should we select you as a random person just because you have arrived illegally? Why should we not consider all the people ahead of you who have arrived legally and who have rightful basis? So if somebody is running a racket for humanitarian management, for people management inside the country, so this will not be tolerated. So business of trafficking, model trafficking, this will not be tolerated. And what will be accepted is generous, safe and legal routes of migration. right? So a lot of people, 14 people, they died when the Dungy, it collapsed, it capsized, right? So it says that this humanitarian crisis has to be handled in the right way, and we cannot give undue advantage to people arriving illegally. Illegal arrival, no problem, we will send you to Rwanda right now, right? So first, to ensure that those people who have to be who have become legally accepted inside the country, they be resettled inside the country. And about the cost, UK says that we are already, one of the ministers of UK had said, we are spending 5 million pounds every day on hotels for the illegal immigrants. And this amounts to around 400 to 500 pounds per year. And if we are having a plan for say 200 pounds for 5 years, this is still very economical to us. So it is good. And about Rwanda, Rwanda has been hosting many other immigrants from Burundi, Congo, Libya, Pakistan. Let's hold them from UK as well, right? This is what the country says. There have been a lot of waves of immigration, and it has only increased in the past for UK. So in 2019, there were less than 1,000 immigrants, illegal immigrants. 2021, 8,500, and now 2021, almost 30,000 immigrants. So UK has been considering creating a giant wave machine. This will be creating giant waves so that the boats do not come to the coast of UK. Now, whether they capsize or whether they turn back, it's up to them, right? UK has also said that the people who are driving these boats, pilots of the boats, they will be sentenced with life, because they are the people who are colluding with the human traffickers. Right now, they've also said that we would like Ascension Island, Albania, Gibraltar to start accepting our people. If you look at Ascension Island, it is somewhere located just in between the Atlantic Ocean, and it is just segregating the people who need human rights, human attention. Right. So people who arrive in trucks, ferries, boat, dinghies, right? These small boats, and people dying, all this will be avoided. Now, this is what UK has said. So, have you wondered how people arrived to UK? This is an island, no? How do people arrive? Are there road routes? No, there are no road routes here. People arrive illegally. When I mentioned trucks, the trucks are loaded in the ferries from France to UK. These ferries run, and people, they hide illegally in trucks, vehicles, and then they get transported from coast of France to London, right? So if you look at this place, Strait of Dover, English Channel, the important places below which there have been lines constructed, train lines constructed, right? So there is a Euro tunnel on which the inside which Euro Star, the train line, private train line, it runs, and people can get transported their vehicles also to the level that buses also get inside it, and just a couple of hours, and then one can board and get deboarded right in London, from Paris to London, right? So this is Eurostar for you, how to travel in Europe, easy ways to suggest. In fact, many of these bogies do not have seating capacity, so one has to stand just 2 meters aside their vehicles. So these are some interesting facts about how people travel to UK from France, right? Now, other countries, Australia, Israel, Denmark, all of them have had these kind of refugee plans where they have sent people who arrived at their nation illegally as illegal immigrants, and they send them to Australia, send them to Nauru and Papua New Guinea. And this is how they have ended the struggle of people arriving to Australia. They have been very strict, but they have had a lot of criticism. Also, there have been crisis of people arriving here, because Australia has been using detention camps and other places to keep these people, and humanitarian crisis and exploitation of females, etc., have been reported there. Civil strife between people has been reported. Similarly, Israel has been sending people who arrive from Sudan and Eritrea for refugee to handle refugee things to Rwanda and Uganda. And this is what they have been doing, and they said, if you don't want to go there, we will get you a $3,500 money and a plane ticket to a developing country. If you don't want to go, then we will arrest you. So this is what Israel has been doing. These countries have been very strict on the illegal refugees, right? And many refugees who were sent to Rwanda and Uganda by Israel, who accepted, they ran away from Rwanda and Uganda. So these plans have also been partially successful, receiving international criticism. Have developed countries got some important duties for rehabilitation of people and human rights assessment and management? Have they? This is where I ask you, in consideration of what is happening in India, a lot of immigration, right? So refugees and a humanitarian crisis in the country, along with that, acceptance as illegal or legal migrants. All these are very important issues for India as well. That's why I discuss this issue in details. Now, mention 5 impacts of illegal immigration and 3 ways to handle such a situation in India. This could be a better question here, right? So put this down in the comment section, and this will be a great exercise for your brain. Now, if in case you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and shares. And if you have questions, doubts, please put them down in the comment section. We will get back to you. Thank you for watching.